Garbage cans is the theme of this episode because both of the episodes I'm going to talk about in this vlog feature a garbage can. So let's get started. The first one is Harold's kitty. In this one, Harold's going about his day, being his big, dumb, goofy self, when he stumbles upon this kitty cat. And Arnold, being responsible, is like, alright, someone's lost this, someone's probably worried sick, so I'm going to make flyers for it. And Harold decides to watch it until the real owner turns up. And over the course of the episode, Harold grows to like the kitty cat, naming it Cupcake, and buying a bunch of little toys for it. Harold, you're not supposed to name it. Once you name it, you get attached to it. Now put that thing back where it came from, so help me. Oh, whatever. And so time goes by, Harold's taking care of Cupcake, and big shock, the owner turns up, and it turns out it's this old lady that Harold loves to harass by just banging on her fence and annoying her. And Harold's stubborn and doesn't want to give up the cat, even though technically it's not his cat, it's someone else's. And it gets to the point where he's refusing to leave his house, and there's like riot squads, police, and eventually Arnold's able to talk Harold down out of it. And as a reward for watching Cupcake, the older woman agrees that he can visit and play with Cupcake every now and then. And I'm a little torn on this one because I've been saying for a while I wanted Harold to get an episode. It was a character I'd like to have seen explored more. And we got it, and there was some sympathy and empathy with Harold, but there was also just a lot of emotional depth. I mean, he takes keeping Cupcake to such an extreme that it's just, there's a part of you that just wants to smack me, like, just give the cat back. And it's just unbelievable how far he takes it, just how stubborn and how he's just not coming out of the house. It was amusing, though, just seeing how far the enforcement came, like, just all those people crowd outside his house, all those law enforcement. Like, I mean, logically, the thing to do would be to have the parents talk to him, or have, like, them break the door down, but no, it just builds to cartoony logic. I mean, it was kind of sweet seeing Harold give up the cat and make the right decision. And there was that very good end scene where Harold's playing with the cat and the kids are debating whether to invite him to baseball, and they're like, nah. It's like, it was a fun scene that kind of summed up what I was thinking, and it was cute. It was just a fun meta scene. I like the bit with the officers, and they're like, come out with the hands in the cat, or the cat in your hands. It just reminded me of like a Costello Who's on First, with just how confusing it was. And I also like that we get to see Harold's life. We get to see his apartment, we get to see his mom, who looks significantly different from when we saw her in the Snow Day episode. Yeah, again, I don't really have much to say on this one. It was, other than that, I've never really had this experience with Harold like Harold has. I mean, I grow attached to things, but it's more like, you know, books, entertainment, like, I mean, not books, more like experiences, like if I'm in a great place and I don't want to leave it, but I have to move on in my life, like college, or I'm involved in, or when I did musicals in high school, like, it was always sad when those ended, but as far as giving stuff up, like, I can't recall any specific moments when I've been, like, Harold. And I get it. I mean, like, you form a connection to an animal and you spend time, like, paternal instincts. Arnold did make some good points, and Harold was dumb. I mean, you're spending money on all these toys, like, literally, it's only been a week, like, I mean, it'd be one thing if, like, months were going by and the owner wasn't turning up, then you might want to think about adopting them, but, yeah, like, a week, it's like, yeah, and particularly in, like, a crowded city. Although, why didn't Harold throw out the flyers? Like, he just knocked them on the ground, like, as if that was going to do anything, like, is that right? Like, that was another thing that bothered me, like, Harold's just overly defensive of Cupcake, like, again, Harold's just one of the weaker characters. Next episode is The Longest Monday. In this episode, we learn every day, once a year, there's a time where the 5th graders take all the 4th graders and dump them in the trash cans because they're completely full. And the episode's about Arnold and the gang trying to get out of school and get back home and just survive the mayhem. And Arnold and Gerald survive pretty long, but eventually they get captured. And it was a pretty straightforward episode, but it was really fun. Like I like the hecticness of the situation. Like, I like how they have this whole plan organized, and then the instant starts, like, there's mass hysteria and panic. Like, it shows, like, I mean, this is why you do fire drills, is, like, you'll drill something, so when the emergency happens, you know what to do, where to go. But yeah, it's like, when chaos erupts, like, you aren't thinking rationally. You're just, like, your first instinct is flee, and some of the fleeing incidents were kind of amusing. Like, I love how Phoebe just goes straight into her locker. I like how Mike just hides in the trash can. Irony much. And, yeah. I also enjoy the safe house. I thought that was really creative. And, again, we get to see new sides of the city. We get to see some back alleys, a lot of atmosphere. And, yeah. Like, it was very suspenseful, too. Like, just wondering if Arnold and Gerald were going to make it. And when they finally get caught, it was also really good, because Arnold gives them the philosophical debate and points out the morals and ethics behind if they throw them in the trash can versus if they don't. And I love how, of course, he thinks about it. He's like, no, I'm just going to throw you in the trash. And I like how Arnold and Gerald get thrown in the trash, because it would have felt cheap if they had just gotten away and everyone else in a mess. And then they learn, like, some things in life aren't that bad. Like, some things you dread, they're, like, awkward and embarrassing for, they're awkward and embarrassing for a minute, but then you get up, you brush the garbage off you, and you move on. Again, I don't have much to say. I do like the idea of, maybe Arnold won't do it as a 5th grader, and Gerald won't do it as a 5th grader, but, then there's tradition. Like, there is something to be said about it. And I can't recall anything too cruel like this happening in my school. Like, when I was the 5th grader, I remember getting a speech, like, you're the role models, people look up to you, you're the cool kids, and I don't remember doing anything negative to the 5th graders, but there is something to be said about that hierarchy. When you're on top, you tend to look down on the lower grades and think, oh my... Like, I remember, when I was in 8th grade, everyone was like, oh my gosh, these 6th graders, oh my gosh. I'm like, I think the 8th graders said the same thing about us when we were freshmen, 6th graders, and... I think when I was in 6th grade, I think all those 8th graders were saying things about us, although there were a lot of kids in my class that weren't that great, so that might have helped. So they might have been justifying that, but, actually I take that back. Like, it's just this cycle of how, the older people, again, and not everyone does this. There are plenty of exceptions. There are plenty of 8th graders who hang out with 6th graders, vice versa, and plenty of times where the line's broken down, but I think that's more prevalent in high school. Like, high school, it's, perfectly fine. Freshman to senior, yada, yada. It's generally cool. Generally, lines are broken. I remember it's elementary school, middle school, where the lines are clearly drawn and people look down. But yeah, in high school, I remember, all the senior upperclassmen were, really friendly and nice and treated me well. Yeah. As far as characters go in this episode, I don't have any real problems with Gerald. I mean, he was fine. He helped Eugene. Although he did threaten the 3rd graders. The real jerk in this episode was Harold. I mean, oh my gosh. Between pushing, blowing Arnold and Gerald's cover, to when they're going for the fence and Harold just yanks Eugene out of the way so he can escape. I was so grateful when Harold got done, because he kind of deserved it. He was kind of being a jerk and selfish, and poor Eugene, that kid can't just catch a break. But this does lead me to my issue of Harold, was that most of the time Harold's just a doofus. there's never anything deep. There's very rarely anything deeper underneath. He's just the dumb jerk. And Helga's a jerk too, but again, like, there's a lot of episodes where we dive into why she's a jerk, or the things that are bothering her, the things that are causing her to be angry. Like, which a lot of times revolves around her obsession with Arnold, or pressure from her family. And as a result, you can kind of empathize her even when she's being a doofus, where Harold, like, he doesn't really have any of those qualities. Like, there's nothing to really help us understand, okay, why is he the way he is? It's like, nope, he's just a doofus. And as a result, there's no real way to empathize him when he's being mean. I mean, there kind of is in the last episode, like, you can kind of understand the Kitty connection, but again, he just takes it to such an extreme that it's hard to do. But it's only season 2. There's plenty of time for there to be a really good Harold episode. I want there to be a good Harold episode, but I don't know if we're going to get it. So, the question of this vlog is, 1, do you understand Harold's attachment to the kitty? And 2, do you, when you were in elementary school, did anything like the trash can incident occur in your school? Leave your comments below. I'm curious to read them. And also, what do you think of Harold? Do you like him? Do you hate him? Are you indifferent to him? Does it vary episode to episode? Comment and let me know. And as always, I'll see you in the next vlog. Take care.